doing VC? Scott here, and I'm going to be doing a video on my Judas Priest vinyl collection. I've never really done a video like this before. Obviously, if you watch my videos, the majority are recent finds, recent pickups, but I don't really get a chance unless I'm doing a contest entry video to show albums I already have. Of course, this collection will be a bit of both, but I'm kind of getting to the stage with some bands now. I've got their whole discography, or I'm getting to the stage where it's nearly completed, or I've got to the stage where I've got what I want from that band. So whether it be 16 albums or 4 albums, I might just start doing videos on band collections on vinyl, maybe some CDs as well. What you will find in these videos is I'm not a massive fan of collecting singles unless there's a certain thing about it. Maybe it's a picture disc that I'm really after, or a certain song, or it's got a certain cover, or there's something about it that's a bit different from others. But I'm not massively into collecting singles at all, so you won't be seeing a lot of them. It'll be mainly albums, compilation, greatest hits kind of things. So anyway, Judas Priest. I'm going to start off with their debut album Rock'n'Rolla from 1974. This is I actually thought this was a first press for ages until I really I dug a bit deeper into it, and it turns out it's a second press. It is from 1974, but there are slight differences in the label and the sleeve as well. So really happy to have this though. It's excellent condition. The vinyl's excellent as well, and it's just very, very different from any other Judas Priest album you will listen to. Even from their second album, Sad Wings of Destiny, it's really different from that as well. On the back you have the band members. You have Rob Halford there with the long hair, although he's credited as Bob Halford on this album. I don't know if I mentioned, but it was released on the record label Gull. And you do have KK Downing, Glenn Tipton, Bob Halford, John Hinch on drums, and Ian Hill. So definitely wouldn't be my go-to Judas Priest album, but I don't know if any of you are like this, that you like to hear the evolution of a band. So sometimes I'll go through a stage where I'll just start from the very beginning and work my way through band discographies. So I'm really interested in when I hear that kind of stuff, to where they were to where they are now. So that is a Rock'n'Rolla. Next up is their second album, Sad Wings of Destiny. Originally released in 1976, but this is a Back in Black 2010 reissue. It is a single disc gatefold, and out of all the Priest albums, this has been one of the hardest to pick up. Just on black vinyl with custom labels. Originally released on Gull as well, and like I said, the difference between even Rock'n'Rolla and this album is massive. They really start to get into like the more crunchier guitars in this album compared to the kind of 70s rock from the first. Still sounds pretty stripped down, but still a good album. Wouldn't be my top 5, but with songs like Victim of Changes, Ripper, and the one that stands out for me is Dreamer Deceiver, and that's because in the UK we used to have this program called the Old Grey Whistle Test, which basically kind of showcased bands. And I remember seeing obviously a rerun of the episode that had Judas Priest on it, and it's from 1976, and they're performing Dreamer Deceiver on it. And you see Rob Halford there, he's got the long hair down to his shoulders, he's got the kind of hippie shirt, open chested shirt with the kind of hippie trousers, and just looks so different from even the 80s, so it's really interesting to see. So that is Sad Wings of Destiny. Next up is 1977's Sin After Sin. Just actually picked this up recently in a kind of job lot, and I was actually listening to this last night. It's a good album. It doesn't set me on fire. Diamonds and Rust is obviously the most well known off the album. Starbreaker is, it kind of reminds me of a stripped down version of Painkiller, the song Painkiller, and Firepower, and it's like Starbreaker, Firepower, Painkiller. It's almost like you can see that evolution coming through it. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't set me on fire, but it's still worth a listen. I mean, it's not an album I would shy away from. So this is actually a 1981 reissue. So, and that is, I think this is their first album released on CBS. So that is Sin After Sin. Now, after that album, they kind of started to kind of gain a bit of momentum, and they'd obviously left Gull, but they kind of took advantage of their popularity at the time and released the best of Judas Priest. Now, this is not endorsed by Judas Priest. This is released completely by Gull without the consent of the band, and this is basically a best of, but it's a best of the first two albums. Basically, the songs that Gull have on their label. So as you can see there, released on Gull, and it was basically a money maker. They were taking advantage of their building popularity and thought they'd release this. So that is the best of. Next up, we have 1978's Stained Class, which I think you can kind of tell they really start to find their form. I mean, a lot of people do shy away from the 70s stuff. I just kind of went in open-minded, and you just kind of got to take it for what it is. They weren't at the height of their popularity, and I mean, there are some great songs on this. You've got Exciter on this, and Beyond the Realms of Death is a really good song as well. Again, another album that doesn't set me on fire, but it's still a really, really decent effort. So that is a Stained Class. Next up, we have from the same year, Killing Machine. Now, this is where they really start to take off, I think. This is when they kind of start bringing in their kind of leather, the leather look. Do you know what I mean? Like the Judas Priest we all remember from like late 70s and through the 80s basically. And you've got songs on this like Evening Star, Hellbent for Leather, which was obviously the US name for the album. Take on the World, which is actually a song I saw live on TV as well, and I can't remember what it was on. It might have been on that same programme, but that's when you really see them all in the leather, and they look completely different. Rob Halford's got I think he's got the leather cap on and stuff. But yeah, really, really great album, and that is Killing Machine. Next up, we have their first live album from 1979, and it's Unleashed in the East. This is also an original. So yeah, basically a live album, and it's kind of like a greatest hits of their back catalogue. And then next up, one of their most famous albums. I wouldn't say one of their best, but it is British Steel. Obviously known for the songs Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight, and this is where you really start to see what direction Judas Priest are going in. And this is also an original from 1980. Then from 1981, and you can tell by even the years I'm going through, they're just pumping out albums every year. I mean, there was even 2 a year at one point. Next one's 1981, and it's Point of Entry. Probably the album I know the least. It doesn't really get mentioned either. I mean, it is a good album, but I would lump this album in with Stained Class, Killing Machine, British Steel. It's kind of got that sound. It's kind of got that, still got that kind of late 70s sound. But again, it's not an album to shy away from. And there's some, I mean, if you're not sure of this album, or you've not heard this album, because it is probably the least heard album, I would say, I would check out songs Desert Plains and So Are Angels. Maybe Don't Go as well, that's a really good song. But definitely check it out. So that's Point of Entry from 1981. Now we're on the album where it's a lot of people's favourite albums, and it's from 1982, and it's Screaming for Vengeance. Now, as you can tell by my copy, my cover is absolutely battered, bruised. It's kind of lost its shine. You've got a wee bit of shine there, but it's really losing it. I mean, the vinyl's great, but this is an album I'd really like an upgrade of. So, I mean, everyone, if you're a Judas Priest fan, rock fan, metal fan, you've heard this album, surely. I mean, even when you first listen to it, you've got the Hellion that follows into Electric Eye. It's just amazing. Just the guitar tone on this album is basically the foundation of what Judas Priest became, I think. It's just absolutely awesome, and definitely worth a pick up. As you can see, I mean, even the inner is falling apart, it's discoloured, but like I said, the vinyl's great, but I'd really be looking for an upgrade of this. So, but still, absolutely amazing album. That would be in my top 5 anyway. Screaming for Vengeance, 1982. Next up is 1984's Defenders of the Earth. Now you can see I've got a rip here, so I'd probably be looking to upgrade this version as well. Plus I've got this gross sticker over the top of it that I would not want to try and take off now. But yeah, another amazing album. They just kind of, I think for me, this is where they start to hit their stride. Jawbreaker, The Sentinel, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, Night Comes Down, amazing. Just great stuff. And this is also an original from 1984, and you can see the inner sleeve there with lyrics, and I mean, that's in really great condition. The vinyl's great, but it just annoys me when the front cover doesn't look pristine, but never mind. Still an awesome album. And next up we have 1986's Turbo. Another one people kind of frown upon because this is where they kind of got maybe a bit more commercial, started using synthesizers, and this was actually supposed to be a double album. The name of the album was supposed to be Twin Turbos, and it was actually meant to be a double album with Turbo and Ram It Down, but the record company said no, we'd rather you bring out a single album. So those were actually meant to be one whole double album, but instead they brought out just Turbo. And you've got Turbo Lover, Private Property, Parental Guidance, which a lot of you all know, Out in the Cold, which is just an awesome song, and this is also an original from 1986. So that is Turbo. Then you have another live album, which is Priest Live from 1987, and you've got mostly you've got the 80s stuff mostly on this album. And this is a double LP gatefold. And my favourite out of the two live albums. So that's that one. Now next up is one of my favourites, and some of you might be surprised at this, but it's because this is the very first Judas Priest album I ever bought, and it was on CD, and it is Ram It Down from 1988. This again is an original, and it's just an absolute stormer of an album for me. It really is. A lot of people obviously have a problem with Johnny B. Good. I don't mind it. Okay, it's cheesy, but I still think it's a good cover. I know some of you will definitely disagree with me there, but it doesn't put me off the album at all. Got songs like title track Ram It Down, Heavy Metal, Come and Get It, Hard as Iron, Blood Red Skies, amazing song. That's I've mentioned that in videos before. It's just such a good song. I'm a Rocker, Love You to Death, Monsters of Rock. I mean, that is just an insane album. Just awesome. So that's Ram It Down, 1988. Next up, we have 1990s Painkiller. And if you're a Judas Priest fan, a metal fan, you're gonna know this album. It's immensely good. It's not a perfect album for me. I love every song on this, apart from Metal Meltdown. It just annoys me. And it's not even the whole song, it's just the chorus. It's just the chorus. It just feels so lackluster compared to every other song on this album. And that is the only song that stops me from giving this a 10 out of 10. Inside you do have photo of the band and lyrics. But yeah, just an awesome, awesome album. I mean, this would be one of the albums if I could take to a desert island with me. This would be one of them. I mean, the tracks that stand out for me are Painkiller, Hell Patrol, Leather Rebel, Nightcrawler, Between the Hammer and the Anvil, A Touch of Evil, I think is the best song on the album. Just amazing. So that is 1990s Painkiller. And I also have 2017's reissue, which is a little different with the picture on the inside and the blue inner sleeve, and it does come with custom labels, which I've shown this album before, but I'll show you again. There we go, and there we go. So, and I actually picked up the reissue first, and then went ahead and pulled the trigger on the original. But 2 copies, 3 copies, 6 copies, doesn't matter. Amazing. Painkiller. And I'll have to skip a few. I do not own Jugulator, I do not own Demolition, and I don't own Nostradamus. Basically not because I don't like the albums or I don't like Ripper Owens. It's just they're expensive to buy and they're hard to find. So it's not that I'm not after them, I am. Just price and availability. So I'm going to jump straight to Angel of Retribution, which I actually really struggled with when I first heard it. It didn't really do much for me, to be honest. This was released in 2005, and I think I've said this in a video before, but this just did not do much for me, and it took me a lot of listens to really appreciate this album. And the thing is, now I love it, but it's just one of those albums that I really had to give a few listens to. This is a double disc gatefold, and this is actually a reissue from 2017. So yeah, and you know the one song that I really love now that it was the first song I heard off this album. It was Hellrider, and that's one of the songs that put me off, and now I love Hellrider. So it just shows you how your musical taste can change. So that is Angel of Retribution. Next up we have an amazing album. This will have been mentioned a lot before as well, and it's Redeemer of Souls from 2014, I think. 2014. Just amazing. And it's a shame now, in fact I'll speak about that later, but yeah, I first heard this and I was, after Angel of Retribution, I didn't jump on this album like a lot of people did, and I actually took a recommendation for somebody to say, no, you need to go and listen to that album, it's amazing. And I did, and I think I'd bought the CD within about 10 seconds of listening to it. Just awesome. This is also double disc gatefold. Just awesome artwork as well. So yeah, that is Redeemer of Souls. And of course, I'm going to finish with their latest release, Firepower, which came out this year. And I've spoken about this album before, so I'll not go into too much detail again. Just amazing. And what I was going to say about Redeemer of Souls is, it's funny how I kind of like Redeemer of Souls less now, because Judas Priest have produced this. It's just a masterpiece, and I think it kind of takes off from Redeemer of Souls a wee bit, for me anyway. I mean, there's obviously an awesome album, awesome tracks on it, but this just, when people were saying, before I'd actually heard the album, people were saying I think it could be better than Redeemer of Souls, I was like, there's no way it can be better than Redeemer of Souls, because I loved Redeemer of Souls, but Jesus, smashes it into bits. Again, awesome artwork. They never disappoint with artwork. And this does come with the lyric sheets, and I picked it up on red vinyl with custom labels. So that is it. That is the end of my first vinyl collection video. Like I said, I'll be doing more of these in the future, so keep an eye out. Let me know what you think of my collection, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.